Minigames are really the bread and butter of Mario Party. Well, the board's more the bread, the minigames are more the butter because there's less of it, but it's really what makes it good. Food analogies aside, with there being approximately 15 gazillion Mario parties, it makes sense to say that not every minigame idea would make the cut. But some minigames do get worked on, but don't see a release. So, how's it going, everybody? I'm Burhead2, and today we'll be discussing every single unused Mario Party minigame. The first Mario Party starts out with a bang, and trust me, nothing will be quite as good as Same Game. It even has a preview image for the explanation screen, although that doesn't exist for this minigame. Same Game is based off the real Same Game. It, like other 1980s, 1990s puzzle game series, received never releases over the years, but the rules always stay the same. The player must clear various colored whatevers, but that can only be done if enough of the same color are grouped together. The Mario Party version is much the same. The players are ground upon different colored jelly blocks to accommodate downwards and left. The player can fill the jelly blocks and try to become accessible. If the player isn't able to fill the blocks, they'll take one of 3 doors to give them only 1 coin. Next minigame is kind of be known as Wiggler's tongue meeting. Yoshi, the characters are riding, unless you are Yoshi, will extend their tongues to which a regular Wiggler is placed in order to reach your respective Mama Wiggler on the other side of a river. But if you at the right time, you win. If you don't, you lose. It's just a game of chicken. As you can also likely tell, this minigame isn't really finished. All or Nothing is the next minigame, and it seems to be a one-player minigame when you get 3 Mario icons through question mark blocks to win. The only thing that still exists for this minigame is the exclamation screen, the corresponding text, the preview image, and the textures used for the question mark blocks. This minigame doesn't seem like it would be very much fun, so I'm not exactly sad over this loss. Next, something called Tour de Mario. As you might have guessed, the minigame probably has something to do with bicycles. But what I find pretty strange that the text and exclamation screen doesn't say anything about spinning the control stick. It's a minigame about bicycles in the first Mario Party. I mean, they already did it, just do it a second time. In case you haven't noticed, no preview image for this minigame exists, and the big, giant, glaring Japanese text reads, "Under construction," which is how this minigame will remain until the end of time. Next is Bungee Jump. All that exists for this minigame is controlled explanation and translated device text. The word coin is also not colored yellow here. There are still a few minigames that, well, they don't really exist, but they take up entries on debug menu. Allow me to list off the minigames that haven't already been mentioned. Save the Piranha Plant, Fire Goomba Farm, Pole Vault Jump, Lava Chasm Drop, String of Wisdom, Treasure Crate, Buoyant Balloon, PK Soccer, and Bomber Mario. That particular minigame could have been a Bomberman ripoff, or a reference in this case, given that Hudson Soft developed both Bomberman and Mario Party. The second game isn't quite as nice to us because its unused minigames don't really exist. All that remains is text for the exclamation screens. What fun. Exciting Pipe Lottery is one of those things where there's something going down a pipe and it always moves whenever it reaches a horizontal pipe. This minigame is basically just a more fleshed out version of Pipe Maze from the first game, and it's also a battle minigame. Lucky Coin Grab may be another instance of Mario Party 2 taking a minigame from the first game and just giving a new coat of paint, Shisai says. It seems somewhat similar to Coin Shower Flower. Despite the name, Tug of War doesn't seem to be copy and pasted minigame. It's now a 2v2 minigame. Instead of spinning a control stick, you now need to mash either A or B. Rapid Rafting appears to basically just be Paddle Battle from the first game, just without any control stick spinning. No Step seems to be like musical mushrooms based on musical chairs. However, I can't really seem to make much sense of the advice text. Treasure Divers would have returned from the first games, where you need text from the explanation screen. Unlike the other minigames, the advice text was not officially translated into English. This minigame may have also been replaced by Deep Sea Salvage. Unfortunately, Mario Party the Third doesn't seem to have any unused minigames, but the fourth game tries to make up for it. A lot like the second game, there aren't any unused minigames per se, just things for minigames which no longer exist, such as these 3 vaguely spherical objects, which were probably for the terrible, the dreaded TESS minigame! There's also this red block named Test. I wonder what it was for. There's this thing, not really sure what it is, but I do know it comes with multiple parts. That red sun in the background reminds me of the Imperial Japanese flag. A cloud-themed arena comes with it. If you look closely, you can see the shadow underneath it is curved, so probably it's on top of the giant ball thing in this. There's also a rainbow, and it's got things that have an animation of them moving around. I don't have it, so you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. The monitor in this has a few textures to go with it, a flashing danger notice, and some tweezers. Coincidentally, the game has an unused twister model, although it's much more red than the one depicted. This here is a forest arena that's much more in line with the art style of Mario Party 3. Then there's this thing. It's some kind of garden arena, also more in line with the art style of Mario Party 3, with a tree, some anti-Goomba signs, a lot of sirens, and a broken fence. But what's more interesting is the entire thing is some sort of shell-themed capsule machine-looking thing with 4-player gamer and impact font on the bottom. Whether this thing is for, if it's even for a minigame at all, is still a mystery. Mario Party 5 has precisely one unused minigame, the terrible, the awful, the no good TESS minigame! It asks the player to jump 10 times in 10 seconds. If you do it, you win. If you don't, then it's a tie. The audio is also bugged.
fish. New record!
Empty fish.
The test minigame for Mario Party 5 comes back for this game, where the audio issue is now fixed. There's also an extremely unfinished minigame that's so unfinished it allows you to set certain parameters when it's loaded. As for the minigame itself, the player needs to first place a red ball at the top of the playing field and try to get to the bottom by moving around the gray blocks. There's also no win condition. The test minigame from 5 came back again. The audio bugs out once more by restarting the wind jingle about a second after it starts. There also exists what seems to be an unused mic minigame, although no microphone functionality seems to exist for it. Like any good mic minigame, pressing R brings up a drop-down menu, although this one doesn't have any text. However, the options still work and are the order of up, down, left, then right. The goal is to direct a mechanical Cheep Cheep as far down as possible in 60 seconds, although hitting a mine or wall in the minigame early. Versions for 1, 2, 3, and 4 players exist, although player 1 will always win. For the 4th time, Mario Party 5's test minigame appears, although it makes sense given that 4 games came out in 5 years and all using the same engine anyways. First up, we have Hammer de Bocari, or
Hammer de Bocari.
Google Translate doesn't help me much with the name. This minigame is rather janky. For example, the HUD doesn't even do anything. But for gameplay, the player needs to swing the remote horizontally to swing their hammer, and the minigame ends when one person gets hit 5 times. Whoever lands the most hits wins. Next is
ぐるぐる片付け
which Google Translate says means group tidying up, or a cleanup if you don't include this hyphen. If you don't include space between the first group and second group at all, it gets translated as tidying up around and around, and the Mario Wiki says it gets literally translated to round and round finish. Whatever it's called, it apparently has something to do with cleaning up and something to do with spinning something. That's something being the Wii Remote. In order to win, you must spin the Wii Remote in a clockwise direction to be the first to roll the ribbon. Whoever does gets the color ribbon on the present box. How lovely. The next one is
落ちるなロデオ
which translates to Don't Fall Rodeo. I wonder what this is about. Just by looking at it, it's hard to tell what you're supposed to do in this minigame, and after being told you need to tilt the Wii Remote in the same direction of the bull and not get thrown off, I still can't really tell what's going on. So yeah, that's how the minigame works. There are also a few audio files associated with the minigame, which I'll play now. Mario Party 9 has only one unused minigame, and it's technically not even unused. By that I mean, according to what I know, there's something about it in the files. The only reason anyone knows anything about this minigame is because it was in a trailer. Some kind of new Super Mario Bros. Wii-inspired minigame where you probably chase Bowser Jr. Unlike Nintendo when it comes to Mario Party compilations, I actually remembered the handheld entries. Unfortunately, Mario Party Advance only gave me anything to mention. I know very little about this game, but apparently there are 2 minigame icons the game refuses, presumably for unused minigames. As for any Mario Parties I haven't mentioned, just assume I couldn't find anything for them. I apologize to all 8 Mario Party Island Tour fans. So like your average game of Gudu Gudu Kata Duke, that about wraps it up. Ooh, that was a good one.